I'm Jolene Wynn, and this is the Porn Addict's Wife podcast, episode number 127, Transactional versus Transformational Relationships. Your life does not have to revolve around your husband's pornography addiction. You are not defined by his choices or by what he sees on a screen. You are not just the porn addict's wife. You are so much more. In this podcast, I'm going to teach you how to go from handling it to healed, because I've been where you are and you don't have to stay there. My name is Jolene Wynn. I'm a member of the LDS Faith, a certified life coach, and a wife of a former porn addict. And this is a podcast for the porn addict's wife. Good morning, my ladies. Oh my goodness. How are you? I am recording this. It is Monday morning. It is October 17th, and I just got back last night, almost midnight, from our Go Forward retreat in Nashville, Tennessee, and it was amazing. I purposefully did not record this podcast early. I knew that this would mean it would come out a few hours later than it normally does, but I wanted to talk to you guys about how it went and to be in this energy, because before I left, I was very nervous and I was in a very different mental energy. And now, having been with these amazing women all weekend for 3 amazing days, I am full of energy. I am on fire, and I am so excited to share it all with you. I am going to be getting responses from all of the amazing women who attended, and I'm going to be sharing with what they learned and their transformations with you in upcoming podcast episodes, so make sure you look out for those. But I just wanted to tell you guys how incredible it was. One of my most favorite things about this weekend, I hosted a retreat. For those who don't know, I hosted a retreat in Nashville, Tennessee this weekend, and there were 14 of us, and it was phenomenal. And some of them were clients, some of them were not clients. And so one of my most favorite things, I think, I had someone ask me last night, you guys, sorry, my mind is all over the place because I'm just thinking of everything that happened. But someone asked me last night, she said, were you really proud of the experience that you created of the retreat? And I said, I wasn't proud of myself. I think when I was most proud was seeing each woman come in. On Thursday, everybody came in at different times, and watching each woman come into the place we were staying, the Airbnb, I was so proud of each one of them, because I know what it takes to do something like that. Not only have I done something like that in my own life, with my business and going to masterminds that scare me to death, but I know how much courage it takes to face this and to work on yourself and to dedicate and make a decision that you're going to go spend 3 days with a group of complete strangers and talk about something that isn't always an easy thing to talk about, and to face things that you know aren't easy to face. And I was so proud of each one of these women. Each one of them was coming for a completely different reason. Some of them were trying to decide if they were going to leave their husbands. Some of them have already decided to leave. Some of them don't know if they want to leave yet or not. And some of them are just tired of feeling the way that they feel and feel like their husband's addiction is controlling their life. And some of them have been working on themselves for a while, and they feel like they're okay, but they feel like they're kind of in a rut. And everybody had a different reason specifically why they were there. And I think one of the most powerful things ever was just the connection that was created. I mean, we had a group of women who didn't know each other. Some of them did because they're in my group coaching program, and so they see each other on Zoom calls. But connecting in person is a whole different experience. And just the connections and friendships that were made during this weekend, I know are going to be so amazing. Like during the last session, we just had this little wrap-up session where I was asking everybody to share what they learned or what was their biggest breakthrough and things like that. And everyone at the end was like, when are we doing the next one? Sign us up. They were like, can we do it 6 months from now? Can we make this twice a year? And I don't think it's going to be twice a year, but we will for sure start holding this annually. So if you missed out, ladies, you need to get on this list, and you need to look out, because next year is going to be even better, because I learned so much from this one. This one was so incredible, but we're just going to up level every single year. It's just going to get better and better. And that was exactly what I was hoping for. Like at the end of the retreat, something that you host, you definitely want people feeling like, I wish it was longer, and when can we do it again? And that's what happened. And it was so phenomenal. I wish all of you guys could be there. And I'm just so grateful for the experience that I had. I'm so grateful, ladies, for this job that I have. I get to meet the most amazing women. Do you guys realize this? I think that was one of the things that I loved most about being there is I don't think you guys understand the high caliber of women that were gathered in this room. It's one of the things I love most about my coaching program. Like those of you who are listening to this podcast, you guys are an extremely rare breed of women. Do you guys know this? Very few women who are in the situation and circumstance that you are in are taking initiative to work on themselves. It's a hard thing to do. Very few women do it. And you are doing it. And I'm so proud of you individually. You are a high caliber woman. You are at a level that most women aren't. And that's one of the things I love about the group and what I loved about this retreat. When you gather such strong women together, the strength increases, it multiplies. It's exponential. The growth in that room was exponential this weekend, not necessarily because of what I brought or what I taught, but because of them and the strength that they gathered from one another. You would think that gathering a group of women who have spouses struggling with pornography addiction would be heavy and depressing and everyone would be sad. And absolutely there were some tears as women worked through some things, but overall it was motivating and it was empowering and it was exciting and it was not heavy. You guys, this was the most amazing weekend and I cannot wait to do it again. And I want all of you guys to be there. So if you guys missed it and you still want to work with me, then come coach with me, but also come to my special masterclass that I'm doing next week. Okay, I'm doing a How to Trust masterclass. You can go to my website, jolenewind.com. There's a tab called How to Trust. I want to encourage you guys to go sign up for this class. It's going to be next week, October 24th through the 27th, every single day on Zoom. I'm going to have an hour and a half each day, and I'm going to teach and coach. If you are struggling with trusting, if you feel like you're trying to control so that he doesn't relapse, if you feel like you don't know what trust really is, or if you are struggling because you feel like you want to trust him, but you can't because of things that he's done, or maybe you've decided to trust him in the past, but then he did something and it broke your trust, and so now you're back to square one, or that's what it feels like, come join this class. Okay, it's $19. It's a 4-day master class. I'm going to teach you what trust really is. And I guarantee you the way that you've been thinking about it is wrong, which is not your fault. It's how you've been taught. And I'm going to teach you how to actually put trust back in your control. Because again, one of the things that we do is we think about trust in a way that makes it feel like it's not in our control, right? That we have to wait for the other person to change before we can trust again. So I'm going to teach you how to shift that in your brain so that you can feel like you are in control of your trust again. Okay, again, go to my website, jolenewind.com, go to the How to Trust tab, and there will be all the details there, and you can sign up. It's $19. You get access to all of the recordings. So go ahead, make sure you sign up so that you do not miss it. Okay, today, ladies, let's dive in. I'm going to teach you today a concept that I taught in Nashville at this retreat, and it's the concept of transactional versus transformational relationships. Okay, this is an advanced topic. So if you struggle with this, don't worry. Keep going, though. I really want to encourage you to listen, because even just if you gather the idea, even if you just gather the concept of what I'm talking about today, even if you don't fully understand how to implement it, I promise it can completely change your life, and you can start to see where this is happening in your life. Okay. And then if you want help, you can come join my coaching program and I'll help you apply it. Okay. So stay with me today. This is actually a business concept, and it's one that I ran into compliments of my husband, actually. So let me introduce it and then I'll tell you a little bit about it. Okay. So a transactional relationship is a business-like relationship. Okay. This can be the relationship that you have with anyone. This can be with your spouse. It can be with yourself. It can be with your children or it's very easy to have a transactional relationship with your job, okay? But I want you to think about it in terms of specifically, just pick one. In my retreat, we did this with our future selves, okay? That was who I had them think about. How do you think about your future self? What kind of relationship do you have with your future self? If you have not heard my podcast episode on your future self, I want you to pause, go back and listen to your future self so you understand what that concept is, because that's what we're building off, okay? Let's keep going. A transactional relationship is a business-like relationship that's really based on needs and wants, okay? You're expecting something in return. It's right, okay? So it's like, I expect to receive something in return for what I invest, okay? There's never a lack of expectation, all right? So for example, with diet and exercise, right, with food, this is the example I always give. One of the things that we always do, or an example of a transactional relationship would be, I am willing to eat the vegetables and do the exercise, if I start here, as long as I get the body that I want in X amount of time. But if X amount of time passes and I still don't have what I want, then I'm going to stop. I'm only doing these actions in my present in order to create this transaction in the future. Does this make sense? I'm starting here. I want to go there. And if there doesn't happen when I think it should, then I'm stopping, because the only reason I'm doing the actions that I'm doing is to get this expected result. And if that expected result is not happening, then I'm going to stop. That's a transactional relationship, right? I have something that I want. I'm going to do it in return for something else. Okay? With God, let me give you this example. This is such a clear example to me. And this is actually where I started learning about this from my husband, is we were talking about how we often have a transactional relationship with God, right? So we'll say, okay, I'm going to obey the commandments that God gives me as long as I get blessings, right? Because that's where we're taught. We're taught that obedience to God gives us blessings, that God wants to bless us, and that our obedience brings blessings. And so a transactional relationship with God is when we say, okay, I'm willing to be obedient and I'm willing to do the things that you want me to do and live the way you want me to live, as long as you give me blessings in return, right? Now, we don't often phrase it that way. Most of us don't talk to God like that, but we'll phrase it in a different way, right? Like, if I obey, God will bless me. Okay, now that could either be a statement of faith or an expectation of a transactional relationship. And a lot of times, it's really a reflection of how we think about that relationship with God. Does this make sense? Okay, so that is a transactional relationship. An example of doing a transactional relationship with your husband is, I'm willing to put in the work as long as I see effort on his part, right? I'm doing X and I want him to do X, otherwise I'm going to stop, right? If you guys go back and listen to the podcast episodes about emotional investment, this is where I hear this so much. I'm willing to emotionally invest, but I need to see that he's emotionally investing too. It's transactional. I'm investing, but I want that in return. What I want in return is to see him emotionally investing, whatever I think that means. Okay, now again, go back and listen to those. I'm not going to dive into what those are right now, okay? But the problem is that then it just leaves you waiting for the other person, or having an expectation of something happening, and if that doesn't happen, then you stop, okay? So this produces a relationship that's purely based off of, I'm going to do this so that I get this. And it's a very limiting way to live. It's conditional, right? I'm only going to do this as long as I get that. I expect a return on what I invest. And I want that return to be a specific outcome that I think it should be. Now, what I want to offer instead is a higher way of interacting, a higher way of thinking and creating relationships. And this is transformational relationships. Okay, you ready? Transformational relationships are want-based. What do I want to become in this relationship? Rather than focusing on it being more of a transaction, instead, we're invested emotionally because we want to be with our partner out of unconditional love, not an unmet need. Okay? So with my ladies at this retreat, I talked about this. We talked about this in relation to our future self. That's what we focused on. Our relationship with our future self, who she is, what is she like? How does she show up? What does she think? How does she feel about this? How does she feel about myself? It was a whole nother concept, okay? And having a transformational relationship with your future self isn't about just getting to where you think you'll feel better. It's about who you become in the process. So almost that like the result doesn't even matter. The result is irrelevant. It's who I become along the way that matters. The best example that I can give of this is when I set a goal last year of making 100K. And I had made 12K the previous year. Okay, so it was a big leap. And my 12K self that I started off last year as thought there is no way that that's going to happen. Now, a transactional relationship would be, okay, I am starting at 12K. My result that I want is 100K. So I'm willing to do the work at 12K as long as I get the result of 100K. But the problem with that is that along the way, your brain is going to take a look at it and say, okay, are we there yet? Are we making progress? Do we think we're going to hit our goal? And if not, if your brain thinks that you're not going to get where you want to go, then it's going to want to stop. This isn't working. I can't do this, right? This is never going to happen. This is a waste of time. Okay, this is unrealistic. Okay, when we have thoughts like that, those are indication that our brain wants to stop. It wants to quit. If it sees that the transaction is not worth it, it's not producing the result that it wants, then it's going to want to quit. When you have a transformational relationship, when you say, I am willing to become that 100K self because I know it's possible. And even if I don't make it, I'm willing to do it because of who I become along the way. It's who I become in the process that matters. That's what matters. It's not the result, because I know the result isn't going to make me feel any more accomplished. I'm not any more worthy or valuable once I get there. I am 100% worthy and valuable now. That's the unconditional love part, right? We're invested emotionally, transformational relationship. We're invested emotionally because we want to be with that partner, whether that's our spouse or God or our future self. We want to be with that person out of unconditional love, not an unmet need. Usually a transactional relationship comes from lack, right? It comes from, I don't want to be here. I think there is better than here. So I want to do the things that get me out of here and over there because I think that will be better. I want more money because I feel like I don't have enough. I want to be thinner because I feel like I'm not enough if I'm at this weight right now. I want my husband to change because right now I feel like all this negative emotion and I don't want to feel that. And I think there will be better. That's transactional. It's out of an unmet need. I need to feel better. But when you recognize that life is 50-50 on both sides, whether you're here or whether you're there, then you can sit with yourself and be accepting and have complete unconditional love for yourself and know that you don't have to change it all, but if you want to, you can. Not because changing makes you better, not because you have to, not because there's anything wrong with you the way that you are, but because you want to progress. A desire for progression, a desire to see how you can become the version of yourself that you want to be. My goal in life is to become the best version of myself, not because I feel like the version of myself that I am right now is lacking in any way, shape, or form. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm not going to be any more worthy or valuable when I become the best version of myself. But I can become that, and I'm excited to become that version of myself because of who I become along the way. Every single day, I try to progress into my future self, have a transformation along the way. That's the point. Do you guys see this? So for an example, with God, with a relationship with God, if you want to have a transformational relationship with God, then you think about how you become the obedient person because that's who you want to be in your relationship with God. You love God so much that you want to be obedient. Not just so that you get the blessings. The blessings are almost irrelevant. Even if he doesn't give you the blessings, it's who you become along the way. It's who I become when I serve God, when I become more obedient. That's who I want to be. That's the point. The point is who I become along in the process, right? Let's go back to the example of like yourself with your body image and food, right? Rather than saying, I'm willing to eat right and exercise as long as I get this result of this weight, okay? Rather, it's I want to be the person who is healthy and takes care of herself, someone who enjoys going to the gym, someone who enjoys taking walks or exercising, someone who's capable of going up a flight of stairs without getting winded, right? Whatever it is, I want to be that person. And it's more about who you become in the process. You become the disciplined person who doesn't give in to all her cravings. You become the disciplined person who takes care of her body. You become the person who is capable of playing tag with her kids. Even if you never hit the goal weight, it doesn't matter. Because that goal weight is not going to make you feel any better about yourself. And who you become in the process matters more. That is what a transformational relationship is. Does this make sense? Again, I know that this is a little bit more of an advanced concept, but I know you ladies can take it. You're doing great. Okay, let's do one more example of the transformational relationship, and this is with your spouse. Rather than saying, I'm all in and I'm willing to be invested as long as I see something in return, right, which is transactional, it's more focused on yourself. Who do I want to become? I want to be all in and emotionally invested regardless of who he decides to be, simply because that's who I want to be. Because I want to let go of the fear. Because I want to let go of that false need for control. Because I want to be more trusting, right? Regardless of what he's doing, I want to be trusting. This is one of the best examples that came up for me in my life. And this is what I'm going to be teaching next week during my How to Trust masterclass. Is when I was struggling with trust with my husband. I didn't trust him and I wanted to. And I tried to convince myself for years that I did. I tried to talk myself out of it. Oh, I do trust him. Here's all the ways that I do. He's such a wonderful dad. I should trust him. He hasn't relapsed, or at least he's told me about his last relapses. He's been very honest. I should trust him. He's changed his behavior. Here's all the logical reasons why I shouldn't feel the way that I feel. Now, if you've been listening to the podcast for more than a day, then you know that you can't talk your way out of your feelings. And yet I tried to do that for so long. Okay? And what happened is I had to accept that I didn't trust him. And that was okay. And I sat with that and I allowed that for a little while. And then I decided that that's not how I wanted to show up. I didn't want to not trust him anymore. And I decided that I was willing to trust him simply because that's who I wanted to be on my end of the relationship. Does this make sense? And I was letting go of his part of it, the transaction part. I'm willing to trust you as long as you earn it. I'm willing to trust you as long as you prove to me that you're trustworthy. That's the transactional part. The transformational part is, am I willing to transform into a person who trusts, into a wife who is trusting of my husband, simply because that's who I want to be and how I want to show up without the expectation of what he gives in return. Completely letting that go. The transformational relationship, ladies, even if it has someone else in the equation, isn't about the other person at all. It's about yourself. And that's what we focused on all weekend at this retreat. We didn't come and have a pity party. We didn't come and have a husband bashing session. This retreat wasn't about how to make your marriage better. It was about you. It was about how each individual woman that came was having a transformational relationship with their future self. It was about who they want to become. Their past, ladies, your past is irrelevant. What has happened up until now is irrelevant. Not that it doesn't matter. What I mean is that it's irrelevant in how you move forward. I don't care how you've decided to move forward in the past. I want to know, how are you going to move forward from here on out? The decisions that you've made up until now, I don't care about. I want to know what you're going to do from here on out. How are you going to transform into the woman that you want to be? Because you are capable, ladies, of so much more. You are so much greater and stronger and more capable than you give yourself credit for. And the only thing that is between who you are now and who you want to be are your thoughts and feelings. That's it. There is no circumstance that is in between where you are now and where you want to go that you cannot overcome, because it's not about your circumstances. It's not about the things that happen to you. It's about how you respond to them. And you ladies have so much more passion and potential than you even see. One of the most powerful things was sitting in this room and staring out at these women, over a dozen women in this room. And all I could think was, ladies, you have no idea how powerful and capable and limitless you are. Your brain has convinced you that it's not true, and yet I see it. because I can clearly see, sitting from the outside in, that the only thing in between who you are right now and where you want to go, who you want to become, are your thoughts and feelings. And if that's true, then you can work on all of that. That's easy. That is simple. Because we can do your thoughts and feelings all day long. Those are things you can control. If that's the only thing in your way, good news, ladies, you have nothing that you cannot control in between who you are right now and who you want to become. So you think about it, ladies. Who do you want to become? I want to invite you to have a transformational relationship, to create that in your life. Think about that future version of yourself. Who is she? Why are you not there already? And I guarantee you the only things that are going to come up are your thoughts and feelings. And if you want help with those, come coach with me and I will help you. But notice, ladies, that the only thing limiting right now is your thoughts. I can't do it. It's too hard. This is too scary. There's too much fear. I'm incapable. None of those things are true. They're all just thoughts. Do you know that? Your brain will lie to you to keep you in the cave, to keep you safe. Because at the end of the day, if you're alive, your brain thinks it has done its job. And technically it has. But all it's done is keep you alive. And if you want to do something more with your life than just stay alive, then you're going to have to be smarter than your brain. You're going to have to be in charge of your brain. And you're going to have to tell your brain, you know what? We're going to do that scary thing anyway because that's who I want to become. I'm willing to trust even if it means I might get hurt, because I want to be the type of woman, the type of wife who is trusting. That's a transformational relationship. All right, ladies, I love you all so much. I'm so excited that you stayed with me today on this episode of the podcast. If you guys are learning something from the podcast, I would love for you guys to go leave a rating and review on iTunes. It helps other women just like you find the podcast. And I would love to know your thoughts about it. I love you, ladies. Go sign up for the How to Trust Masterclass if you want to learn how to trust your husband again. And I will see you, ladies, on a brand new episode next week. So take care. All right, ladies, if you are loving what you are learning on the podcast, I want to invite you to come join my coaching program. This is where we take it to the next level and we actually start applying and learning the how of moving forward. This podcast has taught you the what, and the coaching program is where you're going to learn the how. This is where you learn how to actually start moving forward, process all of that pain that you feel, and let it go once and for all. If you are ready to finally move forward and stop living a life that revolves around your husband's pornography addiction, then I want to invite you to come join me today. Just head to my website, joleneWayne.com, and sign up today. I can't wait to see you there.